The Arizona rancher accused of murdering a migrant on his property near the Mexico border is now a free man. Prosecutors dropping the case entirely after it ended in a mistrial. He was charged with murder, with the jury hanging 7-1 in his favor. And tonight, for the first time, George Allen Kelly is telling his story. He sat down with NewsNation's Ali Bradley to talk about what happened.
He turned towards me and pointed the AK at me, and that's when everybody said it was the dumbest thing I ever did. They said you should have shot him because he was getting ready to shoot you. I don't know why, but I said, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. So I shot over the trees, over top of his head, and thank God him and the other guys ran. The dogs ran off, and I could tell that they're hunting dogs, and I could tell that they were trailing. And I figured they found a skunk because they started working around in a circle like dogs do when they see a skunk. And I didn't want them to get squirted, so I went up to them and to try to get them away from where I thought a skunk was, and I saw a body. It was lying face down, back up in the dirt. Two deputies interrogated me. I told them what happened. They accused me of shooting. The guy said, no, I didn't shoot him. And they said, well, we think you did, and we're arresting you for first-degree murder. They put me in a cell block.
And you were in there for 22 days?
For 22 days, and I've had a good life, but I've had a hard life. Those 22 days, if hell is anything like that, I'm going to do everything I can not to go, because that was the worst 22 days of my life.
You hear these tapes being played where you call him an animal, right? We know these tapes. We've heard it over and over.
Right.
And that sticks out to people,
sure,
right?
Sure.
Because they go, oh my gosh, he's calling this human being an animal.
And I understand.
And I know you do. So talk a little bit about that kind of moment.
I understand how they feel and why they feel. I'm a biologist. I was trained pre-med, pre-vet. And everything on earth is an animal, a vegetable, or a mineral. And so when I was describing that individual, it was on a biological term. I didn't want anybody to think that that I didn't understand what I had found, but at the same time, I was standing out in the dark by a body. I didn't know who was around me. I didn't want to say the word human body because I didn't know what might happen as a result of those words coming out. Yeah. And I felt that that was the safest term to use. It wasn't said in a degrading connotation. I wasn't belittling. I wasn't making light of the fact that this poor individual was lying there dead. I was just trying to handle a situation where I wasn't going to be lying right beside him dead.
Now I do have to ask you, because I'm a journalist, if I don't ask you this, I'm being negligent.
Fine.
Did you do it?
No, without a doubt, no. And the facts prove it. The evidence prove it. There's nothing to tie me to it, period. Yes, I fired my gun, and I fired it as warning shots. Mm-hmm. And however, the Mr. Butamea, I have the utmost sympathy for his family. They lost their husband, they lost their father, and I know how it would be if I lost mine, because I did 35 years ago. So I feel for them, but it's not my fault I didn't do it. Somebody else is responsible for that, and whoever is going to have to live with it.
So tell me, what have you been thinking about over the last 14 months? What's been playing through your head? What fears, what hopes, what have you been thinking about, Alan?
Well, when you do the thinking is at night, when you get in bed. during the day, there's so much going on in the last 14 months with attorneys and with hearings and motions. You're basically, you're in a legal world. Once in a while, you got to realize that you're the target. You're not some bystander just looking at this happening. You aren't somebody sitting in the courtroom in the gallery. You're the guy sitting on the defense table. You're the guy they're after. You're the guy that they're going to they could send to prison. And if they send a 75-year-old guy to prison, remember, first-degree murder, that's death sentence. They reduce it to second-degree murder, 28 years or something like that. That's a death sentence. Then they reduced it or added aggravated assault. I was offered a plea for as little as 4 years 2 months ago. Of course, I denied it, turned it down.
Why'd you deny it?
Because I didn't do anything. I'm not going to admit to doing something just so I can spend 4 years in prison rather than taking a chance of spending 28 or 23 years in prison. I didn't do it, and I'm not going to serve. I'm not going to volunteer and to say that I did it just to cut the number of years. Because if I went to prison and the individuals that were in prison, the same people that told me dead man walking, I doubt I'd last a week. So I didn't have any choice. This was life and death.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.